You ever look at a baby and just wonder, how did they get to be the way they are? I mean, why is one baby just smiling all the time, super chill, while another one is, let's just say, a little more high-strung? It's a huge question for any parent. Is it something we're doing, or did they just show up with their personality, pre-installed? All right, let's really get into it and see what the science tells us.
We all know these two kids, right? You've got the super happy baby on one side, just cooing at everyone, totally fine with new things. And then, on the other side, you have the more sensitive little one, the baby who gets overwhelmed easily and needs a whole lot of comfort. They're both wonderful, of course, but you can just tell their basic experience of the world is completely different from the get-go.
And this is the big question. What's behind that difference? Is it all about the parenting style, the home, the environment? Or is it something deeper, something they were just born with? It's really the ultimate nature versus nurture debate, but we're talking about it from day one of life.
So to even begin to answer that, we have to talk about the science of temperament. For a long time, the idea was that babies were basically blank slates. But some scientists started to think, I'm not so sure about that. They suspected there was something already there, right from the start.
This is so important to get. Temperament isn't about what a baby does, like crying, and it's not why they do it, like they're hungry. Temperament is all about the how. Is it a tiny little whimper that builds up, or is it an immediate, full-blown world-is-ending scream? That style, that way of reacting, that's temperament. It's baked in.
The two people who really just blew this whole field open were Stella Chess and Alexander Thomas. Back in the 1950s, they started this incredible project, the New York Longitudinal Study. And their goal was totally radical for the time, to prove that babies are not blank slates. They followed these kids for decades, from when they were tiny infants all the way into adulthood, and found these amazing, consistent patterns in their behavior. So what did they find? Well, they grouped these patterns into three main types. About 40% of babies landed in the easy or flexible group. Then you've got the slow to warm up or cautious babies, that's about 15%, and then about 10% are what they call difficult or feisty, the ones who react with a lot of intensity. And get this, a pretty big chunk, 35%, didn't really fit neatly into any single box. So yeah, that always happy baby is the most common, but it is far from the only type out there.
Okay, but why? Why do these different temperaments even exist? What's going on inside the little heads? To figure that out, we have to go deeper and look at the actual neurobiology. What's happening in the brain of a happy baby?
So you can think of a happy baby's brain as having this perfect neurochemical cocktail. First up, you've got dopamine. That's the engine. It's the go, go, go chemical that makes them curious and want to explore. Then you have serotonin. That's the stabilizer. It keeps their moods on an even keel, just promoting a general feeling of calm. And finally, the secret sauce is low levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. It's like a built-in stress shield, which means it just takes a lot more to get them upset.
But it's not just what's happening in the brain. The body has its own little secret weapon for staying happy and calm, and it's called the vagal brake.
Okay, that name, respiratory sinus arrhythmia, sounds super complicated, I know, but the idea is actually pretty simple. You can think of it as a way to measure how good your body is at hitting the brakes on stress. A baby with a high vagal tone has a nervous system that's awesome at slowing down the heart rate after something startling happens. And that right there is like a biological superpower for a baby. It means they can bounce back from being upset really fast and get back to being calm and ready to engage with the world.
And when you pull it all together, you get this really clear picture, a physiological signature of what a happy baby looks like on the inside. You've got high dopamine pushing them to explore, stable serotonin keeping things chill, low cortisol acting as a buffer against stress, and a powerful vagal brake that lets them self-soothe. It's just a beautiful biological system all working together.
So it really sounds like it's all biology, right? Case closed. They're just born that way. Well, not even close, because all of that amazing biology doesn't happen in a bubble. It's constantly interacting with the world, and most importantly, with parents and caregivers. This is where the real dance between nature and nurture kicks off.
And the most important idea to understand here is something called goodness of fit. It comes from Chess and Thomas, the same researchers from before, and it is just brilliant. It says that a child's healthy development isn't just about having an easy baby, and it's not about being a perfect parent. It is all about the match between the child's innate temperament and the environment they're in. And this is what that actually looks like. A good fit is when a parent sees their baby's unique style and adapts to it. So, for a slow to warm up kid, they give them extra time and patience. For a feisty kid, they create positive ways for them to get their energy out. That creates harmony. A poor fit is when you try to force that quiet, cautious kid to be the center of attention at a party. It just creates stress. Understanding this can literally be a game changer for parents. Now this is where it gets even more interesting. Scientists have found that not all kids are affected by their environment in the same way. Some kids are like dandelions. They're pretty tough and can grow almost anywhere. But others are more like orchids. They are incredibly sensitive to their surroundings.
It's a theory called differential susceptibility, and it is fascinating. Basically, it says that the very same kids who are most likely to struggle in a stressful environment are also the ones who benefit the most, who absolutely thrive in a really supportive one. That sensitivity is a total double-edged sword.
The orchid versus dandelion metaphor just makes this crystal clear. A dandelion is going to be fine in most backyards, right? But an orchid? If the conditions are harsh, it's going to wilt. But if you give it exactly what it needs, that perfect, nurturing environment, it will blossom into something absolutely spectacular. So a lot of those babies we might label feisty or difficult, they aren't difficult. They're orchids, just waiting for the right garden to grow in.
Okay, so we've got inborn temperament, we've got the neurobiology, and we have the crucial role of parenting. But does all this early happiness actually matter down the road? I mean, does a happy baby automatically grow up to be a happy adult? Let's see what the long-term studies show.
Well, studies like the Fullerton longitudinal study are starting to connect those dots over a person's entire life. For a really long time, science was mostly focused on what could go wrong. But now, they're realizing that this early happiness, what they call early positive affect, it isn't just a cute phase. It might actually be laying the groundwork for a person's entire sense of well-being.
And the takeaway is surprisingly clear. There's a real link. Babies who show more positive emotions tend to grow into adults who report being more satisfied with their lives. They even tend to be more hopeful and optimistic about their careers. It seems that a happy start really can help set you on a positive path for life. So, a happy beginning sets a great course. But what if a baby is too happy? This brings us to one last, really important piece of the puzzle, a fascinating twist that experts have dubbed the exuberance paradox.
And it brings up a question that sounds completely wrong at first, but stick with me. Is it actually possible for a baby to be too positive, too exuberant for their own long-term good?
Okay, here's the paradox. That super high dopamine drive that makes an exuberant baby so excited to explore, it's amazing for learning and for making friends. But, and this is a big but, if that powerful engine doesn't also learn how to use the brakes, it can lead to problems with impulsivity and risk-taking later in life. This is where nurture becomes absolutely essential. It's the caregiver's job to help that amazingly energetic child learn self-regulation, to teach them how to channel all that wonderful enthusiasm with gentle guidance and clear, loving boundaries.
So, back to our big question. Are happy babies born or made? And the answer, really, is a beautiful and complicated yes to both. They arrive with this incredible innate blueprint, their temperament, their biology. But that blueprint only gets fully expressed, or sometimes even held back, by the world they grow up in. Which kind of leaves us with a final thought, right? If every single child arrives with their own unique music, then the true art of being a parent is learning how to listen to it, and then how to play along.